So I put something in there, you know, and I call it end of the year motivator. I could do it at the end, but it's basically about not giving up and hopefully winning battles, you know. And again, you know, this is meant to relate to diagnosis and repairs, but, you know, the parallels for anything in life, I'll be honest with you, you know. And basically, I just want to portray that, you know, if you guys are like me, once in a while, you're going to hit the wall. It could be for diagnostics or a lot of things in life, you know. When you do that, you got to dig deep, you know, and you got to kind of tell yourself you can do it, okay? And I tell that to everybody too, and my phone is always free when I do my classes, that, you know what, you're smart enough, you can figure it out, but sometimes you get so deep. Give me a call. I might not have the answers, but if I can back you out of that forest and kind of like, you know, all you guys, you've been there, you get so deep, and before you know it, it's like, that's where you hit the wall. But if I can pull you back and say, let's just regroup, take a good breath and think about it and everything else. Let's not overthink, you know, and we'll be fine, okay? And I always mention that, you know, like in life, diagnosis, same thing is, you know, sometimes we anticipate to do something fast. And, you know, I often say that, you know, when it comes to running, I think I'm pretty athletic, you know, that the races are not always to the swift, you know. But again, keep it in mind, it's for those that keep running, you know. Sometimes too, and I've mentioned here, and Robert actually reminded me of this, sometimes we assume we have a limit, you know, and I'm that way sometimes. To be honest with you, just so you know, when somebody in a stature, Robert calls me, you know, it kind of reminds me that I struggle with the complexities of today's electronics. I'm going to be honest with you guys, you know, I didn't have the educational background to be an engineer and so on. So sometimes it's hard for me to understand all the math formulas, equations, and so on, you know, but I do have the discipline where I will sit down, spend hours trying to teach myself so I can somewhat comprehend enough about any given subject, you know. But however, what little I do comprehend, I'll be very honest with you, I'm going to combine it with my real world hands-on skill sets that I do have, you know, and I'm going to come pretty damn close to figuring things out, you know. My point being is that if we want it bad enough, guys, we'll make it happen, you know. So basically, I'm so glad that all you people coming on over and over again think highly enough of me to actually, you know, to come back and think that I can give you something. So we're going to get into this real fast. Oh, before I do, I had a few little notes here, okay? And it goes along with what everything we've been doing. We've been talking about CAN and recalls computers. Packard just recently recalled 221,000 trucks with Bendix ECUs, you know, and there's a potential for hundreds of more being recalled, but basically it wound up being, to be honest with you, some software issues. And I'll read real fast. The recall involves electrical noise interfering with the EC80 power line carrier communication, which also might have low signal strength, okay? So what did we talk about in the last two, you know, sessions? We were talking exactly about the same thing, you know, and in this particular case, the interference could lead the ECU to incorrectly process command stop functioning. So I got one real other fast over here. Where the hell was it? You know, I just got that yesterday. I just got that yesterday. Oh, well, I lost it. Anyway, there was a blurb that came up. I'm still looking for it, you know. There's a blurb that came up. There was a bunch of shops got fined by the EPA big time. Big, I mean, big time. And you know, the only reason I'm mentioning it is we've been doing quite a bit with OBD, emissions, and so on. I mean, I can't find it. I thought I had it. But anyway, just want you to be aware of those things happen out there, you know, and it actually involved quite a few other shops. It was, you know, messing around with the computers and defeating and everything else. So let's get into this because we're going to have a lot we're going to do. All right. Heavy duty lunch and learn. End of the year. And I'm gonna go fast. So if you can't, I'll try to look at my chat box, but I can't always do it because I'm trying to do so much over here. All right. So anyway, that's what we're gonna get into. You know, me, forget about me, you know, we're just going to jump right into it. So I thought that we would open up a little bit with industry perspective by numbers, you know, and you're going to see everything's going to lead into one thing or another. And I basically wanted to point out, where do we fit in, okay? If you've never thought about that, we got 13 million trucks that move over 72% of U.S. freight, okay? That's a lot. 10 million, 715 happen to be straight trucks. And then my number over here, it's like, my gosh, when you look at it, can you imagine? I can't even fathom 327 billion miles every year. Now, I bring this up every once in a while when I do my regulation stuff to put everybody into perspective, you know. But the other thing is, now we're into more of the technical, mechanical end. So basically, there's 300,000 diesel technicians. My concern and everybody's concern is that every year there's about 25,600 openings for diesel service technician mechanics projected each year. So why? Look, guys, we got to replace the workforce that's working presently, that is ready or going to retire. Don't forget, and I actually threw in their transfer to different occupations. Guys, this is a tough field. It really is not for everybody, you know. So you can see, you know, we're going to have some issues, okay? And, you know, numbers are kind of one of those areas. You need to interpret them the way you see them, you know. And most people outside of us, guys, they do get gullible when it comes to numbers. You can see the lawyers' ads on TV, you know, with the truck accidents. So if I, for example, said in 2021 there were 5,340 trucks that were involved in fatal crashes, the gullible public will assume trucks are bad. However, the truth is that in 2021, there were actually 39,508 fatal crashes. So my point being is, you know, if you're going to play with numbers, you got to be accurate, you know. And don't forget, even, you know, the large trucks involved, you know, the most of the time they're indirectly probably the cause of some other vehicle, you know, those four-wheelers. So now let's dig a little bit deeper. The older generation with decades of experience are leaving. There's no doubt about it. So how do you replace that kind of knowledge? I'll tell you very honestly, tech schools cannot provide enough text to supplement. Seems like nobody wants to work with their hands anymore. You know, basically, I said it before, it's not for everybody. If anyone can do it, we would not be having this type of discussion, you know. So how do both older and entry-level techs keep up with or acquire the knowledge to repair today's vehicles? Not to mention the still existing older vehicles, you know. Every once in a while, even if you work with cars, you're going to get somebody like, hey, do you have anybody here who knows how to work on carburetors? It's like, what? You know, so I'm just kidding, but, you know, again, hopefully private industry like Dorman Products and others, and I'm so glad, you know, that they're into it. And other trainers like you got a slew of trainers like I wish I could be half as good as them, that's gonna keep providing the knowledge needed, you know. So today's vehicles, they truly are data driven, both mechanically and directly and electronically, even more today due to application of telematics technologies. You know, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. They're meant to reduce service and maintenance costs and will probably create an increase in maintenance service costs. So doesn't it sound like a contradiction? Well, guys, you guys are working at trenches. Just think about it. Every time you add more stuff in there, you're going to have more challenges. You're going to have more things go wrong. And that picture you see over there, it's basically, I'm trying to also portray that if you get into these different areas, telematics and everything else, you've been there. You already know. They're still based on these fundamental basic sensors that you see over there, you know. Telematics, just in case you were wondering, what is it? Okay. Every time you turn on the ignition on a new truck, and if you guys are into cars and stuff, you know, it's the same thing, you know. Just observe the instrument panel display. I mean, I'm amazed at everything that comes at you, you know, and that you're capable of doing. So today's truck is a very intelligent computer on wheels that can generate, it's going to send data on every detail you can imagine, and then some. Just some examples here: speed, driving behavior, you know, engine performance, faults locations. And Robert McElroy, he does accident construction, you know, he's a perfect example. I mean, he can go in a computer and he can retrieve anything and everything, you know, beyond of what we typically get into OBD type of stuff, you know. So a typical telematics system uses, again, a combination of GPS tracking, real-time data, you know, and they're pushing it out there, you know, predictive maintenance, safety enhancements, route optimization, fuel reduction, and that's just a partial list. But a lot of that stuff, guys, and gals, is the stuff that you're already working on. It's just taking it that next step. So you're going to be a communication expert. Speaking of communication expert, this is just the beginning. How about advanced data analytics? And don't forget, I'm sure by now everybody's got that AI. That is such a hot topic all by itself, you know. I mean, you're going to look into getting IoT integration. That means Internet of Things, okay? That basically stands for network connected devices that can communicate with each other and the cloud, of course, you know. Your fleets get all that information that way, you know. And it's basically technology allows objects to collect, share, and transmit data. So everything you guys have been getting scanned to now is going to go in the cloud, and somebody else is going to get at it, you know. And it's going to do the same, try to monitor driver behavior, track stolen vehicles, cargo for temperatures, weight. Infotainment in some modern vehicles are becoming more and more sophisticated because of that Internet of Things, you know, streaming music, and of course, I mean, stuff you never had before, you know. And how about getting into voice activation? So, I mean, there's so much to these vehicles, you know. Now, for me to keep up with that, I decided to take a giant leap, and I was trying to figure out, how am I going to be ready for this, okay? So I kind of came up with this helmet. I used to ride motorcycles, so I'm trying to fit everything into my brain. I told you before, it takes me a lot to try to figure out what's going on. So I got this helmet, you know, I rigged it up, and if you see that, you got an infrared heads-up display, you know, you can go down the list, but basically we're in trucking, so I do a lot of ABS stuff. So there's a computer, Bendix, I wired it in over there, you know, so anytime I get into that, I don't have to go out and get my scan tools and connections. I mean, I have it right there, you know. So also, don't forget, you know, I am connecting to my brain. So just so I don't have any issues, I actually, if you see that arrow on top, I put a capacitor, jumpstart the connection to brain. You know what? I've been electrocuted a few times, so those surges are not good, guys. Remember in the old days, you pull the spark plug off and you have your let me see if I got a spark, you know. After a while, that can affect your brain, you know. Now, in case there is a problem, you know, I do have a master disconnect switch that, you know, if all else fails and I get a little squirrely, I can shut this thing down, you know. And of course, tons of connections to scan tools, meters. And I put a little note there. One of the connectors is used to update my brain periodically. So we're back to the same thing that, you know, what is your best tool out there? It's your brain. I'm just basically enhancing it, you know, so, you know. So we'll move on, okay? What's in the future? More mandated safety systems, automatic emergency braking, possible CAN communication. You see it out there, okay? And if you follow the clean air regulations, you're going to definitely see an increased push towards alternative CNG, hydrogen, you know, besides the electrical powertrains, you know. So my point being is to, you know, that the reason I mentioned that AEB, you know, that automatic emergency braking, Just the other day, NHTSA came out with the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard that's going to make that AEP, including pedestrian AEP standard on all passenger cars, light trucks by September 2029. And of course, they also are in the middle of getting a standard for heavy duty trucks. So basically, you know, you're looking at a system that eventually you're going to have to work at, you know. But just to give you an idea, the new standard requires all cars to stop, avoid contact with a vehicle in front of them up to 62 miles per hour. Okay, and it also has to detect pedestrians during both daylight and darkness. So as you see, it's changing fast, very, very fast. So now, I'm saying, can we keep up with technologies? I'm saying, yeah, because of techs like you guys that for years have been willing to learn and change with the times. Not to mention all the dedicated trainers and companies providing the tools and knowledge to tackle anything that's thrown at us. I'm going to leave the final thought on this particular slide over here, okay? You guys out there are the true warriors. You're really what's keeping this country going. If you guys fail, we include myself into it, the trucking industry is definitely gonna fail, okay? And I can go on, and if trucking fails, the country's gonna fail. You know, you are not gonna go out and go to your grocery store, get food from all over the world at any season. My gosh, you can have a geography lesson when you go to grocery stores, you know, not to mention the fuel and, you know, even if people are buying cars, how are you going to get the cars to the dealers? It just goes on and on and on, and the parts, and you guys know we had that supply chain issue. Country pretty near came to a screeching halt. Everybody panicked, you know. Amazon, Walmarts, they were all going crazy. Yeah. So now, this one is for all of you that keep this country going. My son over here that you see over on the right, he gave me that for a kind of a nice little gift one year, you know, and that's me over there. If you guys ever wondered why I lost my hair, I'm the one in the sunglasses. And when those sparks come back, it kind of, they hurt your hair a little bit. Just kidding, you know. So I know it's hard to read there, but my next slide, I put it so I'm going to slow it down, okay? And this is the concept. So to do the smith sitting by the anvil, relating to a previous picture, intent on the iron he forges. The flame from the fire sears his flesh. I just mentioned it, yo. Believe me, I know about that. Yet he toils away in the furnace heat. The clang of the hammer deafens his ear. His eyes are on the object he is shaping. His determination is to finish the work. And he is careful to perfect it in detail. That's you guys, that's us, you know. We want it, when it leaves the shop, we want it in the best condition we can possibly get it in. All these are skilled with their hands, each one an expert at his own work. I don't care, and I got the picture of it, electrical, whatever, you're working with your hands. And wherever they stay, they do not go hungry. And that is a huge point, guys, okay? If you're willing to work and you're willing to try, unlike other people out there, you will always have a job. You will always fend for yourselves, okay? But on the unfortunate side, they are not sought out for the counsel of the people, nor are they prominent in the assembly. They do not sit on judges' bench, nor can they understand law and justice. They cannot expound discipline or judgment, nor are they found among the rulers. And that is a freaking sin out there, because wow, how can you have billionaires out there rule? I know this is not about politics. Dictate to what I feel and go about when you never felt what we guys go through, but that's something else. Yet they maintain the fabric of the world, and their concern is for exercise of their skill. Guys, thank you for being out there and doing this, and I mean that. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm old enough, probably like Robert over there, senile, and we've seen it all throughout the years. So, you know, so we're going to keep on moving on. Okay? Now, along with this, okay, I'm going to read a little excerpt, excuse me, from a letter post on Remarkable. If you've never gone on that, you know, Carm Capriato's got out. He's an aftermarket podcast pioneer, and he does a lot. You know, he's out there. You see his remarkableresults.biz on there. Okay, and I'm just going to read real fast. The title is The Training Paradox. I just happened to see that when I put this together. Okay, let me find it here. I am so losing everything, you know, lead into it, okay? So I'm gonna click on back to me, and this is what Carm says. And I'm not gonna read the whole thing, okay? When actions don't match beliefs, you know, it's an article. It deals with the importance of professional development while ignoring the education modules swirling throughout your network and in our inbox. It's a disconnect between what we believe and what we actually do is a perfect example of what he calls a cognitive dissonance, okay? It's a huge word. Again, I'm telling you, I have to look it up in a dictionary. I'll do that later. Just kidding, you know. Cognitive dissonance occurs when we hold two conflicting beliefs of our actions contradict our belief. I'm kidding about cognitive because I do some stuff with when it comes to driving and all that stuff that cognitive comes into play. So it goes on and on and on. Okay, as business CEO, we don't know everything. In fact, we don't know what we don't know. Same is true for our team. Okay, and sometimes this is talking about, you know, getting trained and so on is what this is all about. We tend to find a lot of excuses. I threw my 2 cents in there. The excuses are always, they're so easy to come by, okay? I'm working out and blah, 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 this and everything else, you know. Time pressure is an excuse. We believe in training but convince ourselves we're too busy right now. This temporary excuse often becomes a permanent state. We're creatures of habit, you know, creating a perpetual postponement. So he says, I believe we understand the long-term benefits of training. Immediate tasks with visible results results often take precedence. And we unfortunately get into a comfort zone. Continuing education requires effort and can make us feel temporarily incompetent. Staying within our comfort zone feels safer, even if it contradicts our beliefs about growth and development, okay? And I'll throw my 2 cents in. In reality, you know what? There's nothing to be ashamed of seeking out training. In reality, including myself, none of us know everything, okay? However, this kind of cognitive dissonance carries real consequences, okay? Think about the stagnating skill sets in like a rapidly evolving technology, and that's why I was reading about this, you know. And you don't have to start big. He says if you want to break your cycle, start small, okay? You know, start with like these lunch and learns and so on and so on. But you need to create a commitment for your entire team to the number of hours required by continuing education, you know, be it lunch and learns, local supplier training, time away from training and stuff. Most important, stop making excuses about lack of time and document the cost of not learning. And this is huge. This is why I'm reading this. Comebacks, unhappy customers, and the parts cannon are examples, okay? Just think about, guys, put this in here. All the times the truck has been in the shop, hours, days, weeks, trying to figure out an issue, you know. So, again, I just had to throw those 2 cents in. So, real fast, you get a chance, you need to actually get this thing here. You go online, download it, and it's called The Rise of the Mechanical and Technology Specialist. Take my word for it. It has a lot to do with language, how we perceive ourselves, and so on. It's well worthwhile reading, you know. So let me get back into this, okay? And we'll see what kind of trouble I can get into over here. Switch my camera. Now, I am not sure if you're going to hear this, so before I go, it's just a short video, okay? I put on there, what are you seeing? If you can't hear it, okay, basically, vehicle came in for inspection. My son is down there, you know, doing the actual work. I'm, you know, at that stage, I prefer to step on the brake. You know, this is on a steer axle. So I stepped on the brake, and this is what we observed.
Step on the brake.
If you look close, I'm stepping on the brake, guys. This is as fast as it came out.
Release.
Came out slow, but it returned pretty fast, okay? So, by the way, did you guys hear that video or not? If anybody heard it, say yes. So, because I'm trying to figure out, you know. Now, I told you, simple. This truck came in for annual inspection. Brakes on both sides. Both sides steer axles apply very slowly, brakes release, return quickly, rust on drums. I'm keeping it stupidly simple, okay? Critical thinking is what she calls stuff like this. The most obvious cause in this case was what? Not enough air pressure reaching chambers, right? Returning brakes indicate no mechanical issue. By observation, that's what should have come right into your mind. Now, where would you start? Start with the foot valve, air. We did. It does have air. Went to the quick release valve. Air there? Barely. Okay. So I'm going to cut through the chase over here. Okay. We basically replaced the air line from foot valve to quick release valve. Okay. Line runs from firewall through a crowded frame. Did Brian bother to figure out where? Hell no. You know. Why would you? They need that truck. We just ran a new line. You know, made sure it was protected, works perfect. Guessing, where is the issue? If you didn't understand the system, could have been the foot valve, quick release, ABS. Mechanical was immediately eliminated because the brakes return quickly. The rest is knowing how foot valves, ABS works. You know, for example, I threw this in, the bottom portion of foot valve is the secondary portion, applies front air. So if you didn't know that, okay, you could go down to rabbit hole, you'd be picking on the wrong line and all that stuff and everything, you know. Give me a second here. I'm just going down the chat box, see if anybody was chatting a little bit, you know. Suggest you write down each class or training session you have participated in. Oh, good idea, you know. No audio from brakes, no sound on video. Okay, that's good, you know. So at least, you know, there's a lot of good stuff. So let me go on over here. So back to the basics. This is going to be the same thing, okay? Real fast because we're pushing time, okay? When I click this on, basically it's got a charging system problem, okay? So we utilize what we know, okay? And I'm going to turn the video on real fast. And basically all you're looking at is a stupid simple voltage drop. You know, I got voltage over there. Do I have it on the cable? You know, and you have 2-3 cables going over there and you can watch the meter. I got it there, and all of a sudden, one of the cables isn't getting anything, okay? So we got good clamping on the poles, we got everything, and we got that one cable, and you can see it on the meter, nothing, okay? So utilizing common sense. Now, this is another one, and I'm going to go fast. This is going to be a video again. This is a short to power, okay? And since you can't hear it, I'll walk through it, okay?
Turn signal and marker are on this
basically
truck,
what happened here is the light over there worked, but we're having issue over there. Very, very dim and so on and so on. And if you went through some of the lighting stuff, you know, you got modules. Everything's changing their today vehicles, you know. So he's doing some just simple preliminary checks, okay?
And the red wire, the turn wire.
He's gonna put the, you know, right now I'm not dealing with computers, so a test light is fine, you know. So,
shouldn't be,
but
it should be
anyway,
on
as
the
you're watching the video,
traced it out,
you know, we're gonna go underneath that
harness,
vehicle,
and I noticed the
and that's the
main
point I
harness
want you to see here.
like you would have
eh?
for trailer wire.
It's gonna crawl underneath, eh? And basically, I'm gonna point out once the camera gets over there. Okay, it's hard, you know. Hopefully, I got a good picture over here. Eh? It'll get there. It'll get there. Just be patient, everybody. Okay. And you see that little box there? We just put the light on. This is the add-on. We've run across that before. Somebody broke into the box. You know, we got third-party people working on that, and you see that connection over there?
Between your marker and
We were jumping over there.
And you ran into that other
So
truck too in that.
that was a
Second
problem,
one,
jumping
every new
across.
truck,
That's why we call
this is a
short to power.
2020.
So I threw this in over here too. So what somebody should have done, and look guys, everybody's got their own way of doing it. We call this deadheading, okay? The reason I did take one is if you watch closely here, you know, so pretend that was that wire over there, okay?
Whatever you want to call it.
In our
the
part of
wire,
the country,
tapping it
everything's
off,
shrink
tapping
connect,
it off.
shrink connect, okay? So
For sure there's not gonna
tape,
be any future
if I use
issues,
tape,
as
tape
you saw
tends
on
to
that
collect
video.
water. I mean, you think about our
need to
part of the
strip it
country,
back,
snow and
pick up
everything else.
everything and just put in there.
That's all we did was we did this, shrink it. You got the glue in there, okay? Boom, 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 okay? But he's gonna do something
There it
here,
is.
you know?
You let it cool down between the
We didn't let
glue
it
and the
cool
shrink.
down long
It's
enough.
gonna be
He's
a
gonna
perfect
pull on
seal
it.
over there.
Whoops, it
Almost.
came off.
Start
Point
over.
being is, guys, you know, even if you work, and that's good, it happened, even if you work on those things, even when you finish doing a butt connection and everything wiring up, tug on that stuff. Make sure it goes out correctly. So take two was the same thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to skip over that. Now, on the side of a truck that we saw featuring plug and play electric wiring harness, okay? Plug and play, so much for plug and play. I'm not going to get into this. Again, add-ons and multiplex system series, this wound up to be a little bit of a nightmare. Had to trace everything out, where is the issue and so on. But at the same time, you know, funny how one thing leads to another. Here's another one, small hole due to installation welding. We're down there, we hear, where's this little leak? You know, and again, when they put this body together, you know, just gives you an example of how things can go wrong even. And you can see how nice and clean that little roll-off is on there, you know. So in life, guys, it's the little things that matter. Okay? Now, one of the things that I encourage is I like to get more people, like always, you know, get a hold of me, network and everything else. This is my friend Chino. He went back in the other day, he reminded me, back in 2003, I was doing a lot of ATTP automotive classes. You talk about dedication, you know, every night, you know, guys would come in 3-4 hours after work. You know, we had electrical courses, engine performance, computerization, fuel injecting, and those, you know, and I was teaching all those courses, and I navigated a little over more towards the heavy duty. But anyway, this few things here, slides, are meant to encourage networking, okay? So the other day he wanted to share the type of parasitic draw test that he has been using for a long time. And the following is a way of reducing risk of losing cause of the draw when people use the removing fuse method. If you have determinate draws, and you know, if you do those, this goes back a long way. That's typical of the way people do it. You know, however, the problem is removing the fuse might eliminate the draw for now, but the vehicle returns in days or even weeks with same problem. The good thing to point out here is if we see a draw, say 1 or 2 amps, you know you're going to have it's going to be a bulb motor and so on and so on. But what happens when the draws are under that, definitely you might hedge yourself into electronic related, okay? So this is the way Chino does it, okay? Following method works because the circuit does not get interrupted. Okay, the way he sets it up, he opens all the doors, go to each door, manually move each door latch into closed position, latch the hood latch, vehicle dependent. And again, Gino is from the automotive side, but the same thing can apply with their trucks. Make sure all fuse boxes are readily accessible for testing. Wait for system, go to sleep. When ready, with the voltmeter, go across all the fuses. I mean, let's face it, if something is still on, you're going to get a measurement, aren't you? You're going to have a voltage drop, okay? So if it's going to pick up some activity, you just found the circuit causing draw, okay? And again, good method of, and there's different ways of doing it, The other thing he did was, following something Gino does. And I keep forgetting, we have cell phones. All of us have cell phones. Put your cell phone into the video record, place that phone in the compartment, and it'll always show light on or turning on shortly. And of course, what are you looking for? You're looking for the light to turn off. It's pretty hard to tell if, the compartment is open. Don't forget, sometimes they're capacitor type of things. You turn them on, close the door and so on. Okay? Yes, he's relating to cars, but guys, you get into some of these vehicles, it's like driving an RV, whatever happened in good old days where all you had was a blanket, so watch out for a shifter. I'm going to get into I'm going to review the CanDo scan tool, okay? I am just going to basically go click, click, click for the next few slides, and I'm going to tell you right now, these slides are from Multiplex Part 2, okay? And basically, if you didn't see that Part 2, you need to go back, and basically this is again, review of that part, but I put it in the handout anyway because you guys will get the handouts, so just go through the handout, okay? And I walk through all that stuff just so you know, so you have it. And this is the one that I am gonna play with over here, okay? So let me real fast on the chat box, make sure there's nothing here, no sound or video. Infrared cameras useful. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's so many, Mike. Thank you for being on, Mike. There are so many different ways, the infrared camera, that's a good way of seeing if a relay is stuck on, and, but all you guys have so many nice ways of doing this, So what I'm going to do is, I'm pretty sure that my next slide is going to be on CanDo. Let me make sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's the baby over here. All right. And I'm going to have my granddaughter Elena close in on this. And this is the box it will come from. Okay. And what happens is, the nice thing about CanDo is, if you look over here, you're going to get all sorts of different cables over here. And I'm not going to nitpick on every one. You see the Cat 9, Aveco. You see Isuzu over here, Volvo 8, Benz, Obity 16, of course. And this is a combination here. They combined it. Okay, they combined it to have your 9 and 6 pin together. So depending on, which is an important thing you need to understand too, is there's your 16 pin over here. And if you get into, remember I did that in one of my multiplex about, comparing, you still have your CAN, doesn't matter if you're on 16, you're going to have power, you're going to have ground, and so on. And perfect proof of pudding is that over here, you also get a little breakout box, okay? And if you're over there like, gee, I can't get into this, can't into that, that's what these wires are for. Configure it out. I actually got one of these, and it does the same way, okay? And that's good for, like, whatever you want to get into. This particular one here, I have an adapter, going from my 16 pin to that, and I can turn this on, and I can actually see once I get everything moving. I can look at voltage, I can look at amperage over here, okay? And you know what? All you basically need is what? Go back in your multiplex part 2, 1, whatever one I had it, you got all the pinouts over there if you don't. And the same thing applies with that. I can configure whatever I want. So now I'm gonna hit my camera 3, and let's see what kind of, trouble we can get into. Okay? So I am now gonna sit down and we'll walk through this a little bit. Okay? So this is the CanDo. Okay? Now, if you notice over here, I got the Fleet Diagnostics. Okay? So this is my main screen for it. I do have FleetCross. I'll get to that. So there's a lot of stuff in here, you know. So if I wanted to see data management, I can capture pictures, just so you know, and a lot of data and everything. Actually, I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit. That seems to be better. So let me back out of here, okay? And let me get to the front. So real fast. Now, everybody, of course, is like, what can I get out of this thing? Now, just so you guys know, this, I'm not trying to sell this, okay? Everybody's got different type of scan tools. Most certainly, you know, this little thing over there is not like a laptop or computer. You know, I mean, if you guys have J Pros, before you guys throw it at me, I have a J Pro also. You can have the fancy pictures and everything in there. You know, so everybody has their favorite, and don't forget, it has to do what can you afford, you know, like the updates over for the J Pro every year, they're quite a bit. They're about $2,500. I don't pay for no updates over here. So again, you know, I'm not trying to point out who has what, who doesn't have what, and everything else. I'm just trying, and I'll probably go through a bunch of different scan tools in the future too. So let me go back to this over here again. So again, if I have, for example, let's put, I'll start out with a diesel engine, okay? Now, the reason I can do this is there's a lot of demo stuff here. So if I put Cummins over here, okay, I have choices, diagnostic mode. I'm gonna go on the demo mode over here. But before I do that, I want you to see this display wiring diagram. And if you notice here, that's pretty nifty. At a minimum, you know, it's in color. I kind of know where I'm going to get into, you know, and you can see over here, power ignition, ground wire, K-line, J1708, and so on, you know, can hide depending on which vehicle you're working on and everything else. So there's a lot of info here. I'm not going to, you know, nitpick on every little thing right here, you know, so, Now I'm going to back out, and of course here you have your pins over here too, can plus, can high, can low, and so on and so on. Now I'm going to hit the demo mode, and I am going to pick Signature ISX. Okay. Let's just walk through just, you know, what we can see. If you notice here on this column over here, okay, I'll try to move it over like this. It actually came up immediately, recognized what we're doing, J1939, serial number, calibration voltage, customer name, all that stuff is there. So I hit confirm to say I'm working with the right vehicle. So there's a lot of stuff I can do here. I can go like into live data, okay? It's just a fingertip away. Normal monitor. You'll see all that engine speed, and you know, if I scroll up, ambient. The nice thing about that here too is I go hit this button, and guys, I love my graphics. I sometimes, if I nitpick and get them in order, they're so nice over here, you know. So, and I know I'm going fast over here, okay. Now I'm going to go into special function. Okay, special function, you see all sorts of stuff here. You know, you can go here, idle shutdown. And all this stuff, you can go in there, like for example, manual override. Okay, I can disable it, enable it, you know, all, I mean, you name it, you can do with this thing over here. Okay, action tests, okay. Cylinder cutout. It walks you through cylinder cutout, air conditioning off, lock engine fan in, misfire detection, and so on. take my word for it, you'll see through here, you can do a lot. Maintenance monitor, okay? Intervals, you got all your stuff over here. F1, reset, F2 back, okay? So, I'm gonna go back, let me see, I wanted to show you something because time is flying out. Let me go to the front here. I'm gonna go to this Cummins other system here, okay? Oops, went too fast. Yeah. After treatment, okay? Display wiring. Again, I got my after treatment wiring over here. Okay? I can go into diagnostic mode. Okay? I can go into Cummins engines. Everything I do is I confirm, you know. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. Okay? I'm gonna back out of here. Okay, back, excuse me. Okay, you know, back. Okay. And I'm gonna go into demo mode, CM18. Initializing. Okay. Again, I'm gonna confirm. And here it is, guys. I got everything about the after treatment. So I'm just gonna real fast pick something here. You know, let's pick action test. I'm gonna confirm. And here we have a whole list of stuff I can do. If I'm gonna go on, let me real fast, I'll pick after treatment maintenance filter installation. I'm gonna confirm, and it walks you right through, okay? Engine is not running, particular filter has been replaced. Basically, this gives you the chance to tell the computer, hey, start me fresh with that vehicle here. I'm gonna reset everything, okay? So as you can see, you can do a lot here, you know, and I'm watching the time here, you know. I'm gonna exit out of here, okay? I'm gonna go out, because I want to show you a few other things, because this was on the engine, okay, out. So I'm gonna pick on a vehicle, and I believe Mac has a demo mode here too. So I'm gonna go into Mac, okay. It's loading. I'm gonna say okay. I'm gonna hit the demo mode. And we talked about the 16 pin over here. You know, you're gonna get into more of it. So I'm gonna hit auto detect, start test. It's initializing, going through everything, okay. Come on. Okay. There's a telematics, for example, gateway. We talked about the gateway trying to get in. It's initializing, okay? So I'm into the gateway. Here I got everything. Odometer, you know, 119,000 miles. All your information is there, okay? So I'm gonna go into special function. Hey, parameter programming, okay? So I can do a lot with this section, okay? Change a lot of parameters, okay? I'm gonna go back, see what else we can get into. Special function, oh, I did that, sorry about that. You know, live data, okay? Take my word for it, I can get into there, you know, I can do a lot of stuff. So transmission, vehicle master control, live data, 1, 2, 3, 4, look at all the live data, okay? So if I go in 7 for here, look everything I got in live data 7. The same thing, particulate filter, graph it, go out, you know, and so on. Oops, I didn't mean to go there. Okay. Actuation test, fuel pressure, accelerator pedal, injection function, injector cutout, you name it. Now that to be honest with you, is not bad at all. So let me back out of that, okay? And again, that was the Mac Volvo, but you should see by now that anything you want to do, you can do it on this. I'm going to hit, because this is good on, let me make sure I can find, Isuzu. Isuzu's got a demo. If you look over here, look at the different vehicles you can get into, the Scanias, Fusos, Hinos, Isuzu. Just so you know, I'm not going to only do a couple clicks here, okay? It's loading up. Okay, and again, I do have a demo mode in here. You would enter it by system. You know, what do you want to look at? You want to look at the powertrain? We've looked at powertrains. You want to look at the body control module? You know, same thing. Special functions, fuel consumption, accumulated engine data clearing, accumulated, you know, again, anything you want to do, it's in there. Now, the other thing I want to do real fast, okay, so if you think that's all we can do in here, okay, like I said, we're going to go fast over here. How about a pickup trucks? I was just into, I do know Dodge has a demo mode too. So Dodge has a demo mode. Loading, okay, going to go into demo mode. And of course, select vehicle. I can go OBD2, you know, or I can select a vehicle 2017, you know, auto scan, and you can see everything that I can get into over here, you know, everything, you know. Control unit, powertrain body, info, communication, IPC, instrument panel. And I'm not going to click on it, but take my word for it, you can do a lot with this stuff, you know. And then, of course, not to mention, whoops, vehicle diagnostics got out of there too fast, pushing time. If you see over here, ABS transmissions, Allison, Bendix, Eaton, Wabash. I'm going to get out of here. Back to vehicle diagnostics again. Construction, machinery. And don't have time to hit the Caputo, but there's a demo in the Caputo. If you guys are into agriculture, and take my word, they will get in there. We work on so many different things over here, you know. You just got to prompt in there and tell them what you want to do. There's a simulate mode for that. And I love the demo and simulate modes because they allow you to see what else. So the last thing I want to show you guys here is I mentioned FleetCross, okay? FleetCross is one of those areas, and hopefully, good, I didn't have to sign on. I will real fast do one of these things, okay? So if I wanted wiring diagrams over here, I just pick the vehicle I want, okay? Cummins, everybody loves their Cummins, okay? I can go into wiring diagrams, and if you notice over here, they're on a figure here. I pick up whatever, if it's a select, if it's a 6.7 on number 2, okay? I got tons on this side here, if you can see it, you know, tons of wires, figure 2, figure 3, and so on and so on. Not only does it have that, but it's got performance, engine specs, oil specs, technical service bulletins. So like I said, I wanted to show you guys, you know, that we have another option for a scan tool over here. You know, if you're in the market, and a lot of times I do get the questions, it's like, man, what scan tool should I get, what works, and so on, you know. So hopefully somebody that was interested in one, you have another option over here. Now I've got a couple of last slides, okay, that I'm going to get into here, okay? And by the way, in your handout, in case you are, okay, I don't get paid for this at all. You know, if you ever are, there's marketing at CanDo. It's in your slide. You can go in there, okay? Now, the whole gist of, if you notice, I started out trying to push training over here. Dorman has training all over here, okay? And if you look at that slide over there, this is stuff that G does over there. They schedule something for Tuesday, January 7th, electronics for today's vehicle to Thursday, January 9th. You'll see over there, utilizing Autel diagnostics, automotive electronic tools and everything. Anything you guys want, okay, Dorman can offer it to you guys. G just did a lunch and learn yesterday. I believe it was part 2 on OBD 2. My gosh, I mean, you got Josh Weaver, you got Kid Sander, Pete Meyer over there. Man, if I had half the brains these guys do, I would be doing great, you know. I probably wouldn't be working on vehicles. But the other thing, G just sent me an email, I believe it was last week or so, and he says, Swede, think about doing some live trainings, okay? So we're going to start putting together, and we're open for live heavy-duty trainings. Okay, we're going to start rolling out those classes, and those classes, I can make them anywhere from 3 to 2 days. I mean, the heavy-duty brake class in New York State, I've been doing them forever. Electrical classes, regulation classes. I do all sorts of different classes, you know. So if you have any interest, go for it. The thing is down there. And if, just so you know, guys probably never have seen my actual live. This is what you're looking at over here. There's some pictures of my classrooms right here in Tonawanda, you know, all sorts of people come in. And I talked about going into out of area. I go out of the area. I don't have to go in motels. Motels are a pain in the ass, you know, for what I do. And the reason I go into like people's shops, they can host it. They can get people from other shops to come in there. I've been doing it for years in New York State. Here's an example in Saratoga Springs. Guys, all day long, look at the overhead doors. Look at the truck in there. That's a shop. Canonsburg, PA, same thing, you know. Here's another one, Dayton, Ohio. And that picture over there, just so you know, it is a little bit of work for me. I take boards and all sorts of displays and everything that I use for training, because I love doing the hands-on. And when I do those trainings, I'm a totally different person, guys, I'll tell you right now. You know, thank God there's no HR departments around when I do the training. But even if they were, you know, what are you going to do, fire me? Just kidding. Electrical classes are example, building circuits and so on. Here's in a class, I love doing regulations because they tie in with inspections and so on. So there's a, you know, here is a quick classroom video my son the other day put together while I was teaching, just so you know, because I don't want anybody to think I'm just a little schmuck standing here to, you know, and that's all I do is lunch and learns, you know. But again, quick video around the classroom. And we're going to stop here in a second here, so I don't have time to get into it. That's a story in itself. If you, I believe I had it in my electrical class or the ABS class. You know, there's a backstory. So either way, if you want more stuff, you had in the previous over here, you know, in your handout, you need to get a hold of, let me go back, you need to get a hold of G Trugula, okay? And set it all up, and we're willing to work with you. He can set up prices and everything else, you know. So I'm gonna go back over here, okay? Are there any questions? Okay. I don't see any. I know everybody's got to get off, okay? If you have questions, you can always get a hold of me and stuff. And the last thing too, you know, click or scan the QR codes to fill out a quick survey about this webinar. So if you have your camera or whatever, do that now, because that's a good parameter of what, you know, if you think you like this or whatever the case may be, you know. So I'm gonna click back over here, and I'm gonna call it, because I'm, like I said, it's a little bit past of what we were doing, you know. So guys, it's the holidays. You guys have yourself a very Merry Christmas, New Year's, holidays, whatever, whatever your thing is that you do for this kind of time of the year, okay? And guys, I can't thank you enough for actually watching these presentations and stuff. And hopefully, some of you guys, maybe we can set up something to go live. So I'm gonna cut off over here. I'm just gonna watch the messages a little bit just to make sure. So again, thank you guys. Okay, Ken, you are most certainly welcome. Couple of things where, is there a handout for the seminar? I think Doreen put them on over there. So again, thank you guys. I appreciate you watching over here. So long. Stay safe out there. I'm going to cut it off.
Sweet.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.